What's up, everybody? Bueller here again, and I'm here to do trade floor tickers number 4. We have another 10 tickers today on this video, as you can see here on my little watch list. And again, this is taken from my chat. What we do is we go through the technical analysis routine and form trade plans. We talk about each of the charts, just talk about some good notable price action, and yeah, let me move on. So if you guys can, leave me a like on this video and a comment, and let me know what your favorite stock is. Let's do a good question for the video. So drop your favorite company, your ticker, whatever. Drop that in the comment section below. But let's get into this. So first one was AMD. Right now in AMD, you can see it broke above its weekly resistance right there. Move down to the daily. Let's adjust that a little bit. Get on that strong resistance right there. So now we have everything we need from the bottom side of things. We can mark the top of our range here on the daily. Let's start marking emerging candles. So right now you can see we're on top of the 103 emerging candle resistance, possibly turning support. Let's mark these other ones. This gap range, very good gap range right there. So we have very good levels already just to go off of. I'm also going to do a little cheat method that I like to do. I'm going to do the breakout here. We go from breakout to the high of the initial breakout, and I'm going to mark the 50% control point, just the 50% area. So there's another level in between. I'm not just looking for a $5, $4, unrealistic drop to look forward to. You should always aim for good targets that aren't $10, $20 away for your first target, unless we're trading Amazon, of course, in a different ballgame. But AMD, you want to set as many good targets as you can, and not by making it up. You want to use actual price action. But what has price done here on bigger time frames? Price has had very big buyers pick up, and since then we've had about lowering volume while we still sit above our breakout point, right? So we just have a couple notes to go off of now. So let's get onto the smaller time frames, and we can instantly already make our trade plan. So going into tomorrow, let's say, wow, that is awesome to look at. Let's say tomorrow the pre-market stays in between here. Let's say this is the pre-market high, this is the pre-market low going into tomorrow. What are going to be your breakout levels? You're going to be looking for a breakout from that pre-market up to that previous day high with another big target there at 106.25. If price ends up breaking that pre-market low, you want to watch yesterday's low. You can see we have a very tight range to look at from Friday's price action. So we're going to be playing pretty much out of that range to these other lines that we found from the bigger time frame. So this is just a smaller mid-range here, and then after that breaks out, we'll be back out to that outer core there. So that's my plan for AMD. As you can see, we have tons of targets there. Again, let me back that out one more time so you can see. And there you go. Let's move on to Microsoft. Microsoft and AMD are going to be a little easier because we chart them a million times in chat. But here we have a very, very common resistance right here. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 days hit it on the resistance side of things. After it breaks out, you have your 40%. Lowering volume to an 80%, and then it breaks out again with the bullish engulfing up, and this is when the market and tech were rebounding and pushing back up, as you can see on XLK here, which we did cover this as well. We were looking for a possible rebound if it didn't continue furthering down out of its range under the 151s. It ended up pushing up and gave us a gap up, and this is tech, by the way. It's about 27% of the market, very important to know. But this is what we were looking at. I had posted charts on this multiple times across chat, so if you guys ever see me post about tech, you're most likely going to see it on that XLK. But Microsoft here, though. Let's go back out to the bigger time frames. So we got our common resistance for the bottom side of the range. Let's add an emerging candle, emerging candle. Let's get this gap range here, and then we'll worry about the smaller price action on here. So we'll mark that high. Whoops. Let's mark where price broke out and still held above, so about 302.60. So we have really good levels on Microsoft already without even needing the PM system. So looks like above 306 is going to be a great bullish breakout. Going to get some good bullish momentum. You're going to want to see candles close past these levels with rising volume for your most passive entries. Okay, please write that down because a lot of people are missing out on tons of plays last week, and they've been popping out every single day. So pay attention. Breakout to the downside, what we're looking at under 302.60s. Most likely going to be targeting that yesterday low, which actually lines up with that bigger time frame level as well. So very, very good timing there. So pretty much it for Microsoft. Not much more I can add on to that. That's the levels. So set them on your chart. Let's go to apps. Ulysses was the one who shared this one in chat. We'll start with the weekly on this one. Let's get the top of our range. And let's get a good candle over here that's under current price that was common resistance before another bullish breakout. As you can see, very common one right there at 42s. Let's go down to the daily. And since I have my range now, I'm going to focus on all those emerging candles. You can see that weekly resistance popped up really well in the daily. So now I'm going to just focus on this left. The TA routine, we always go left to right. Okay, so emerging candle, and I'm not joking. You mark these levels and you have the best levels on the chart. You won't need to chart this again. Emerging candle, another emerging candle. What I'm saying is an emerging candle is the top of a buyer. It's a good breakout spot where price has never been or has rising volume. Very good time to do it left to right on a daily chart. Definitely my favorite time frame by far. But as you can see, we got a lot of our levels chosen out for us here. I missed one. Let's just zoom on over to the right and see how well they worked. So far, price has just kind of been tanking through them, as you can see. So apps definitely bearish right now. So you're going to want to be looking for a short-term buy reaction, just because this has just been steadily falling. You know, this is going to have some sort of buy reaction. If this is it right here, if this was the buy reaction, you're going to want to be looking under this common low. I don't even need to go to the smaller time frames for this one. You're going to want to be playing under this day's low. Do not play this any further down before it exits that low. If you don't have any rising volume past that, it's not going any lower. I'm talking about the smaller time frames. Now, other play. What can you look for that short-term buy reaction I was just talking about? This gap range. Target that gap range. You can see price already tried to go up and fill it. So now you're going to want to see, can price get up to this 50-60 from the other side of the chart? Now, that's why we start from the range. We move down, we narrow down our levels, and then you go see where current price is. And now you're breaking down your plan from where your price is in comparison to your levels. So as you can see, definitely below that 47.80s, bigger drop, looking above that gap fill in 50.60 for a better buyer reaction. You're going to want to see a really big base build. A lot of the time you end up getting price taking big drops like this. A lot of the time before recovery can even happen, it has a buy reaction. That buy reaction ends up making that, after it's low, of course, we're already at this point, ends up pushing, having that buy reaction. It comes back down, and then you want to look for a higher low. You want to see a higher low made, some sort of base made on a double bottom, anything like that. But you're going to want to see price steadily sit on top of a range of support before trying to recover back up, before taking a bigger move up. So of course, if that's what you're looking forward to, that's what I would look at. Next one is Bed Bath & Beyond. Very, very ugly chart. Instantly though, I see the important level. I got a very strong common level of resistance turned support. Very, very awesome level. Some of the best levels are those levels. I actually need to adjust it a hair. Right there. And then since we have that, let's mark this emerging candle to kind of cover our right side over here. Let's mark this one, and then this gap range right here. So we have just about everything we need. Let's zoom in one more time. Let's just see, is there anything else I could possibly mark in here that would help? Yeah, maybe right here. I only say that because it has a very strong common resistance right here, and then ends up being utilized here again. So very nice. You can see that's where we're bouncing right now, is about that 25.25. So 25.25, most important level in this chart. So it looks like Bed Bath & Beyond looks good below that 25.25. Do not just start shorting, randomly. If it breaks a pre-market low, this can be a really good initial target. If you're wanting to wait for that bigger passive move, wait until that 25.25 breaks if you are looking for continued downside. For recovery back up, same goes for this chart. As you can see, it's actually doing a very, very good job of trying to recover. It's building price on top of a very important level, not just randomly. As you can see, price has been a resistance here, support, and now we're trying to build a base on this support. So you can start to look for more bullish price action as it gets back above these common levels of support. So it looks like this 27.50s is your really big teller. If it gets above that 27.50 and my 9 EMA, you're looking really, really good. So for continued downside, 25.25, reversal back up, potential recovery, you want to see that base build, but also potential bullish momentum above that 27.50s. Let's go to BE. Bloom Energy, awesome recommendations today, guys. Thank you, Ulysses, Snurpy, Mike, Andre, Leland, Nab. Thank you all for posting your watches on your Sunday evening. Thank you. Let's go to the weekly. So you can see we've got pretty much all its price action right here, so we can go back to the daily and just focus on that left. Or that right, I'm sorry. Alright, so let's start grabbing some emerging candles. So we got a lot right there. Zoom in right here now. Let's just see, is there anything else? If we get the midpoint of this green candle, there's a gap range right there. Let's focus back on this now. Good level of support. Yeah, so same's going for this BE chart. It's just going to be different numbers. But it looks like under this common level of support that we are sitting on top of, if price ends up holding under the 1950s, 19s really, price is definitely taking a bigger drop. What is price doing as it's been pulling down back to this support? Volume has been lowering. This gives me a higher this makes me think a higher probability is due for a buy reaction. So I would be looking for not just a buy reaction to 2065, but also above 2065 for a potential higher recovery back up. Okay, you're going to want to see where is that going to go back up. If it ends up stopping lower than 2165s, of course, this is going to still be kind of in this little angle here. But what you're looking for is to get back to that top of that angle there. So that's why I'd be looking at a BE below 19s for bigger downside movement. I'd be looking above the 2060s, 2065 really for a buy reaction back up. IP, International Paper. Like I said, very good recommendations this week, guys. Do my TA routine. We're just going to start from this left side. I'm going to start with a good level on the bottom side. So we got a good level of resistance, turn support, emerging candle, gap range, resistance, emerging candle. Just going to start marking them. And right now you might be saying, that's a lot of levels you're marking. That's kind of hectic. Yeah, on the bigger time frames. But when you're on this time frame and you're looking to make a day trade, you are going to appreciate the amount of levels you are applying for a reason too. You're not just applying random levels all over the place. But let's see here. Mid of that green candle again, 50% control point, and look at that perfectly. Ends up being used as support. Failed through like a 40% entry, and then you end up getting that weak push up as an 80% against that 59.65 for continued downside. Price is failing to make this new low so far with lowering volume. So we're kind of in a range again on this chart as well. But let's see. Let's go to the smaller time frames. Zoom in. Yeah, so 59 is going to be, which we can raise this because that's going to be your previous day high. I would BB system this one if you're planning to day trade it. This doesn't look like something that's going to have an amazing options chain, so I'll just stick on the bigger time frame for you since that's probably what you're looking for. Big thing too, some of my favorite plays are these downtrend changes. So refer to my Roblox video where I break every scenario down. I think it's even on another Roku video as well. But there's a lot of scenarios going into a downtrend change. Let's say price breaks out. Yes, it can go parabolic. Parabolic means unsustainable. That'd be your first scenario. Second scenario is price just kind of breaks out and then range trades, and then you end up getting your leg up or leg down. Whatever happens after is out of range either way. You end up getting the third scenario where price just kind of pops up and then instantly pops back down, and you get that double bottom, or price comes down lower and makes that higher low again, just like I was talking, making that higher low out of that angle from not just inside the squeeze but outside of the squeeze. So there's a lot of scenarios you could look forward to. And then also the last scenario, which Airlines, and I'll cover this when I cover DAL and AAL, they failed to do all of these scenarios, and instead of holding support, they pushed even lower. So now you're looking at a continued downtrend change on a lot of the airlines. So of course we'll be looking above those common levels of resistances. They're going to get a lot more hype with those news coming out. And stuff with all the stuff in Afghanistan, all that, but should have a lot more sentiment come out about that. So we'll see, what's going on. But I think it's only a few planes from each major airline going. So I don't think it's like, like 200 planes are flying over there or anything, but a good amount of planes are going over there. So they should get some good sentiment. But back to this chart. And again, I was just breaking down the downtrend change analysis and the different scenarios that can pop out of this. But that's what I'd be looking here for IP before getting in this super heavily for buyers. I'd be looking both above this 59 and this downtrend change. As you can see, this very strong level of very strong trend line here. Big levels to aim for once you do get out of this, though, are going to be this hump over here and this shoulder over here. You're going to be looking at those after price exits. What are you doing now for downside, though? Let's say price ends up breaking this 50, because look how much support is here. I would not just start shorting this on your bigger time frames. Wait until it rejects this again, and you could start to get a light entry or something, but wait until it makes this bigger, support break before getting in heavier on shorts below 57. So if you want to short IP below 57, if you want to long it, I'd wait for that downtrend change above both 59, 59.65s, and then that common level of resistance on this yellow trend line I drew. BERY, very global. Add some levels here. So I went out to the weekly, very awesome time frame to start out on to get your range. So I got a very good level here from support. We haven't reached down it to hold as, resistance or support yet, but still a very good level there. And then we'll mark the top of our range. Let's go down to the daily. And again, just like that other chart, I'm going to ignore that right side. I'm going to focus on the left side price action. So I'm going to mark that common level of resistance. Emerging candles. More emerging candles. Gap range. Emerging. There we go. So you kind of got all my levels there left to right. And now I'm going to auto zoom. And I'm going to now go back and look. How well did these levels work out? Let's see. Price ended up rejecting at a double top. Higher low double top. Lower high, I should say. Price ends up failing. You kind of a bearish continuation here. Price ends up doing a drop, base, drop. You get another drop here. So very weak area drops over here at between 69 and 67. And then again between about 67 and 65, 66s. Price ends up holding back support down here, pushing back up. You get a good base, drops again. Doesn't make a new low, so that 63 is a very, very strong level of support. Price ends up pushing back off of it after earnings, hitting the same level of resistance. So very, very strong range right here between 63 and 66, a good $3 range right now. So it looks like for the bigger moves for BERY, I'd be looking outside of this range. But my big thing is what we saw on the weekly, though. When I went to the weekly, I marked that level of resistance because I want to get a good bottom side of my range. Price should mostly start working back towards this level before it does have that, next leg up. So I'd be looking at this to continue back down. You will get confirmation on that range that I just found. So if you want to, wait for that confirmation, I'd wait to see, does this end up breaking this 63.15 and making that lower low down to that bigger level? And then again here on the downside, just like I covered on that other chart, and that's why I wanted to cover that early, is you kind of have a downtrend change going on right here, so I would also be waiting to see this angle be broken, which I wouldn't grab that from the top. I would personally grab that from about right here, because you kind of have your drop, base, drop, base, drop, and you have that all going on right here. So I'd be focused on this angle right here. So it looks like above these 65, 66s, which is also, ding, 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 outside of our range that we just found, that's going to be a really big bullish breakout spot. So I'd be looking right here for bigger bullish breakout, down here for bigger bearish breakout. That is still not totally bearish. As you can see on the weekly time frame, it would be utilized as support if price ends up slowing down at the lower 60s. So look for the price to work its way to 60s if it remains under both my 9 and on that bigger time frame. So yeah, be looking to short this under 63 tomorrow or across this week or back above these 64s. You also have a good gap here you could kind of look forward to, which it did fill it the day right after, but I would still be looking to see what kind of support you can get there if price does try to recover and rally. But looks like the 65s are a really good in between teller level as well. The last three, we got MCD and then the airlines. So we got our main resistance turn support. Kind of focused on that now on the daily. Emerging candle, emerging, another emerging, another emerging, emerging. Common level of resistance, emerging, gap range, emerging, emerging, emerging. We got it all. Awesome. All right, so what do we have here? Okay, notable price action. Big, big, big level of support here at 229, 230. So we have that remembered. Pretty big level of resistance is about between 236 and low, right under those 240s. You can see there's some very weak resistance right here strong resistance, I should say. I keep saying in the terms of a buyer. But as you can see, price ended up pushing up, kind of holding around there as support, making that lower low under it, and then is now trying to form that higher low on top of that level. So big confirmation levels right now for McDonald's, given it is in a very important area. So given that it is around those very important resistances and supports, what are our levels for the bigger breakout? Well, for one, you can look for short-term buy reaction up from 239 to 240s. You can see 230 at 65 to 240.15, or even up to this peak right here. Above this is going to give you better confirmation up to these levels here, okay? So be watching this common level of resistance. These two right here, about 241 and 242, for more bullish recovery, okay? Now let's say it doesn't go back up. Let's say price wants to tank back down. Well, what levels can we look at for a reversal, for it to keep going down? Well, you have that big 229 level to watch, and you have this, not as strong level here at the 236s. I would be looking under these 235, 236s right here, considering that is where price is trying to hold on as support. If it ends up breaking this angle as well as that 236, you can look for McDonald's to test this as a double bottom, or to try to create a higher low that is lower than where it is right now. And as you can see, got just good average volume as price has been messing around lately. So really, this is waiting for a bigger move as it's approaching these very important and crucial levels. So I would be checking this out for a bigger move between those levels, both above the 240s and below the 236s, 235s. Last two are Delta and American Airlines. So as you can see, and I'm just going to cover these real quick. It's almost a 20-minute video already. But this is what I'm going to be looking for American and Delta Airlines. You have these very common levels of resistances that are kind of being used as downtrend changes. Before, and again, these are ugly lines. I'm just kind of giving you all a good picture of what I'm looking at. As you can see, though, we were looking at this downtrend change. This is what I was talking about. Price broke out. It kind of just moved to the right. And remember when I was breaking down the scenarios, which scenario is this? It's that very last one. It failed to hold and push higher. When it did push back up, it failed to make a higher high from this, using this as resistance, if anything, making that look more bearish. And then you've got our double confirmation under a new low. I would be looking to continue shorting these or wait until we see what kind of, catalyst happens from all that news happening over the weekend with airlines. Okay, because if these go up and bump their heads against us again, it's just going to be another lower high. It's not going to be a breakout. So we are looking above these angles on the bigger time frames for airlines to recover. A big ticker and giveaway that I'm watching though is Jets. Jets is going to be what you need to watch. So let's clear this chart and go over this. I always mark this level for fun, just because it's a very big level of support. And then you got it resistance when we pushed up with our recent highs. But let's just look at, relation of where we are. Okay, so up against these June highs that we had right after the COVID dip, you can see that we did have a good support catch. We pushed up, failed to hold those highs, and now we're pushed back down, trying to kind of hold around the same, resistance turn support area. So I'd be looking, and look, that lines up. I only marked that because it's the bottom of that, but also the support that ends up over here. So it's kind of like this little area's range. You can see prices trying to hold this area, but also not even besides all that. Let's just ignore all that. Look at your common low that you have from right now. It's right in the same area. So it looks like under 21s, look for more bearish downside for airlines, okay? So 21 is going to be your big bearish giveaway. What is your bullish giveaway? What are you looking at for potential recovery? Besides the downtrend change, what are we looking at? Okay, besides this angle, what else can we look at? We're going to also be looking at that 22. Other emerging candles from the left, but what else? We have tons of gap ranges here that haven't been filled. Price has not filled some of these gaps. Okay, so we can start to play a lot of gap fills as airlines try to recover. Okay, so if airlines end up recovering and end up holding this range, we can not just look at those gap fill plays, but using the BB system, we're going to set ourselves up for very high probability plays on a very big important sector. So if you want to set this all up, guys, awesome. But if you guys need any help, if you guys need anything with the BB system or the TA routine, let us know. We want to reach out. We want to help. We've been guiding so many people lately, so just reach out. But thank you guys, and please leave a like on this video.